Reconnected, it says, and just waiting to pop back up for everyone here. Okay, there we are. And we're back. Okay, sorry about that. So, in case they missed it, let's just recap what we just talked about really quick, which was what's super exciting.
Yeah.
I know it's gonna seem like Groundhog Day.
No, I can do it. So I think what's exciting is, in addition to the legacy of everything that happens at Gen Con, and that has been happening for the last 50 years, I'm really excited about how Gen Con is going to evolve over the next 10 plus years. The way we play games now, and how we're able to find other people to play with, and how we're able to learn about games and learn about what's happening. That's changing, right? I mean, people talk about the internet changing everything, and the internet is changing Gen Con in certain ways as well. Sure. And that's going to be really fun, right? Because we have this sort of great thing that we're doing, and now we're going to make it better and hopefully more accessible, and being able to show more people, what the sort of spirit of Gen Con is all about.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Really quick, I just want to make sure we are good to go. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Looks like we had a small disconnection, and then when everything popped back up, my sound settings got reset. So I think we're good to go now.
Mm-hmm.
And on that point of like where Gen Con is going, it's super fun for me this is my very first Gen Con.
Wow.
And I am so excited. I know everyone else is like, oh, it's my 50th Gen Con, and I'm like, no, it's my first. So I'm so excited to see where we're at now.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to make an impact with, my thoughts and my experiences, but also just like absorb all that is Gen Con, because gosh, we're so huge and there's so many things to do at Gen Con. And every stream I get this plug in because I think it's the coolest thing. You play laser tag at Gen Con.
Yep.
You play laser tag amongst 17,000 other things.
That's the thing, right? There's so many things to do and that you can do at Gen Con, and you can't do it all. And we have a little saying here that like the overwhelming experience of Gen Con, and the experience, what do we say? It's like having endless choices is actually fun, right?
Right.
But it's also a little bit stressful, right? Because you get there and we only have 4 days, and you can't see everything, and you can't do everything,
and you gotta sleep,
and you gotta eat, sleep, game, choose too, which I love that expression.
And shower.
Yeah.
Get your shower in there. Get your sleep. Get your food in. But yeah, you're left with limited time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And so, but again, that's like something that we're going to do here, hopefully with our programming on Twitch at the show, is that we'll be able to go back and experience some of those things that we may have missed.
Right.
And I think certain things that we do that are really cool and they don't touch enough people. Hopefully we'll get better at making that happen. Like a good example is last year's Gen Con 50 Museum, which was amazing.
Oh my gosh, I wish I could have seen it.
Yeah.
Going through the pictures it was a trip.
Right, but so few people really got to experience that magic, right? Being able to walk around and see program books from Gen Con 1 and 2 and original D&D editions, with notes from Gary, etc.
Right.
I know, right? But so it was all there, and it was there for 4 days, and then it just evaporated again. Right. I was like, there's such an opportunity to capture more and more of that, right? So that's something that when I talk about technology and Twitch and stuff like that hopefully we'll be able to do more and more of that, right? Being able to share for people who can't make the trip to Indianapolis, right, but then also for people who did go but just weren't able to see everything.
And Impulse brought it up here just a moment ago in chat. So I've been working on a series on our social media pages. I mean, particularly our Facebook page of Throwback Thursday kind of posts for the month of July leading up to Gen Con in August. I don't know if you've seen them or not, but it's the past 30 years of Gen Con, and it's so neat to be able to go through all of our past files, and it's like I get to write a fun little book report each week about on this day in 1988, in 1993, and so on, about what Gen Con was and kind of compared to what it is today. And it's super great to see that the heart is carried through.
Yeah.
The heart is carried through, and that's just so amazing to see that pull through. But also just look at where these companies were. Like we talked about a few moments ago, Wizards of the Coast. I put up a picture today that had the very first Wizards booth at Gen Con.
Right.
And it's a picture from 1992, and it's just like this cardboard like castle that was based on their logo, and and that's what it was. It was a small company.
Yeah, and they've come so far now. I mean, Magic is such an institution now, and I think back to when we were, when I was working on Pro Tour 2, I believe, which was on the Queen Mary in Los Angeles, and it was like, we were starting on Friday, and this was like 10:30 the night before, and we're like, we need to get rope and stanchion out here because we're going to have people in line. And like, we were totally making it up as we went along. And then, write it on paper, like, stand over here, and taping signs up right now. And I mean, Gen Con started that way too. And now it's like, it's a machine, right?
Right.
So you're able to get so much done. But, I think there's so much tradition, I think also that is carried through. And there's still that same sort of feeling of, we're all just working this thing, and it's kind of a real homespun sort of feel that we sort of balance out really nicely. Which
I think so. I've mentioned it on streams before, so if you've heard this before, I'm sorry, you're gonna hear it again. We're actually a very small company, and when I was, before coming into this role, I knew what Gen Con was. I obviously haven't been before, but I was like, oh man, this place must be massive. There must be this huge corporation running this giant convention. And I get here and I realize that, with myself, it's 15 passionate people.
Yep. And an army of other passionate people who really help make it happen as well. Like I had a moment just a little bit under a year ago last time, which is, so just to clarify, right? So I've been to Gen Con, I think 2 or 3 times, sort of in my prior tabletop gaming days. So last year was my first, Gen Con 2.0, right? For me. And I was here on staff, and Adrian, my predecessor, was still here. So fortunately I had a little bit of help and coverage. But we were in, just a different conference room here, and it was 2 weeks before the show, and I'm looking around the room at our stand-up, and there's, 14 other people. Actually, it's only 13 back then. And I'm like, so really, this room full of 13 people is going to put on a show for 60,000 people in 2 weeks.
And you're trying to wrap your head around it.
How does this happen?
Right.
But then, 2 weeks later, fast forward, and I'm in a room at Gen Con with several hundred of our captains and apprentices and pages, who used to be volunteers and who are there because they love Gen Con, not because of any other reason. And suddenly I start to see, oh wait, now this is how it happens.
This is how it
These
happens.
people who really know what they're doing, and they do it every year, and they come back every year. And some people come back every year who, don't even get to really experience the show. They're sitting in a back room doing financial accounting and sorting tickets and filling money bags and stuff like that. And they're not even gamers. And I'm like, and they come on their vacation every year to do this work at Gen Con, volunteer essentially at Gen Con.
Because it's such a positive environment. Exactly. I feel like and it creates this space where people can come, and I feel like it's kind of like returning home in a way, right? And coming back to your family of sorts, and you get to be in this space where you're just like, okay, I'm back, and like being able to help create that environment, I think is really special.
You've never been before?
I've never been before.
You sound like you have.
Well, that's great. I work in marketing. If you didn't know, David. So
it's such a big organization. I can't keep track of what everybody does.
Right. I know. That's too funny. Well, it's just, and I was gonna say also, we have captains that have been working the show for over 20 years.
Yep.
Over 2 decades.
I mean, what do I say? Like, it is just mind-blowing, right?
I'm so glad that they dedicate their time.
Yeah, and they are easily the most important people that we have. I can't say enough, right? I can't say anything. I stand up. We do an all hands before the show, and it's like impossible to express the amount of gratitude I have for these folks.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I don't want to make you emotional right now, so let's move on.
All right, I'll try to hold myself together.
Official Paizo is on, and Kristen's first Gen Con 2018 TM. It's interesting that you say that because I think we're gonna have a roaming backpack a Twitch backpack. I've heard.
Hopefully.
Hopefully,
yeah,
okay. Hopefully we'll have a roaming Twitch backpack.
It is the plan.
And hopefully I'll be able to put it on. And hopefully I will be able to show you Gen Con through the eyes of Kristen the noob.
Yeah, I think that'll be really, really fun. I mean, we've got a really great schedule for Gen Con. Yeah. Have we published it yet, Ms. Marketing?
Which schedule?
The streaming schedule.
We have. Yep. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
And then we've got some bits and gaps in there where hopefully you'll be wearing that backpack and walking around talking to people and doing stuff. And I mean, honestly, that's one of the things I'm most excited about because, for me in particular, I go back and watch videos that other people have taken at Gen Con because I just want to re-experience, at least some of the things that I missed. And so, you'll have to do a good bit of archiving there for us.
Absolutely. Well, if we're not able to get the backpack, then I will just take my webcam, and mount it on my head.
Duct tape it to your head.
Yeah, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. Absolutely. Well, great. So, we talked a little bit about Gen Con now. What's different between now and when you first attended Gen Con? When did you first attend Gen Con?
So, that is a debate that I had with a bunch of people, and I think the first or the last time I attended was like 15 years ago, because, and someone's probably correct me if I get this wrong, but it was like one of the first or the second year of True Dungeon, because I remember I was dragged into. Someone's like, you got to do this thing, and so I went and did it, and I was terrible at it, but it was a lot of fun. And that was 15 years ago, so that kind of pegged it as let's see, so it was like 2002 would have been the last time that I was there, and I remember.
Was it the first year that Gen Con was in Indianapolis, or before that?
So I went before, and I think it was the first year that it was in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And to the extent that I can remember anything from 15 years ago, I do remember that there were more lines for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
And it just seemed like there was, kind of more crowds of people. And there was, and that was also in the era when some of the exhibitors, particularly Wizards, had their giant presence. It wasn't the castle, but it was their sort of modern round wooden thing that they trotted around for a number of years. So that was, there was sort of these, and Upper Deck was also very big at that time. So there were a couple of these big TCG anchors, which now, Wizards is coming back this year, but their presence is just different now. It's much more focused on play and not trying to be a big giant exhibitor.
Right. Well, and I mean, they don't necessarily need to be, right? Like the Magic has something like 25 million fans worldwide.
Yeah.
And speaking of Magic, we've got over 500 Magic events coming up.
25th anniversary.
For 25th anniversary. Man, that's so exciting, huh?
Yeah.
So I have another question for you.
Sure.
Speaking of Gen Con and growth, we've grown so much, especially in the past few years. We've taken over Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yep.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. No, it's we want to get bigger, but at the same time we have to be careful, right? Because there's only so much that we can. There's only so much room, like in Indianapolis, really, right? I know hotels are always a challenge, and we work really hard to negotiate, through the year with the hotel.
Yeah. The
hotels to to keep the rates down. It's part of our long-term agreements there. We spend a lot of time, beating the drum for them to build more hotels, which, they tell me, they show me that there's about another 1,000 downtown hotel rooms in the pipeline over the next 5 years, which is great.
Yeah.
And then there's also just, the masses in the exhibit hall and how many, we got to make sure that we don't make it, the misery index can get too high if we continue to grow it. So Lucas Oil Stadium is part of that effort to extend, Gen Con out, give us a little bit more breathing room. We really want to make Lucas Oil, bigger and better, and sort of glitzier, and
glitzier.
Well, I think it could use a little
Sure,
bling,
sure.
a little bling.
That's exciting though.
Yeah, I think so. Because I think otherwise, I mean, it's a football stadium and it's huge, but it can almost be overwhelming, right?
Sure.
There's all that space. And I think also we want to make it feel more connected to the rest of Gen Con. Folks have had that. There's that long walk that you have to make out there. It feels longer than it really is. Right?
Okay.
And so I think that there's things that we can do to kind of make it not feel so long.
Sure.
And make that journey sort of feel part of Gen Con as well.
Sure. Oh man, I'm envisioning like Disneyland style.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things I've been working with the True Dungeon folks is they do some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And they're right there, kind of as you're going through that tunnel into Lucas Oil. And so I always talk about like the Rainforest Cafe effect, where like you could actually walk through the gift shop of True Dungeon and actually see a little bit of what's going on there.
Absolutely.
And that'll be good for them and it'll be good for everybody. So you'll actually be able to do that this year. Is kind of, instead of going through that sort of maze that we had last year, if you went, you kind of cut through True Dungeon and sort of hear the sights and sounds and get a little bit of taste of that.
Oh, that's so cool! I can't wait to check that out. I think it's Lone Dave. Yeah, it's gonna be so good. Like we're back on the field this year, and actually we have a couple surprises scheduled for the field this year that I don't think we're quite ready to announce yet. But we will be here in the next couple of weeks. Well, obviously the next couple of weeks because it'll be Gen Con.
Yeah.
But we're working with a couple partners to make our on-field experience a little bit, I don't know, pretty cool,
yeah,
I think.
I think it is going to be cool. And I think, when you come out of the tunnel onto the field, like, that is just a moment for anybody. Like,
you're just like...
Yeah, and so... hopefully, we're doing a little bit more to sort of increase the drama, or the drama, as the Brits would say. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And
cool.
We set a bunch of stuff up, and now it's like, well, let's wait and see how it turns out.
Well, awesome! I'm so excited. Like, I obviously, like, every stream, I'm just like, I am so excited for the things I'm gonna be able to see. And it's true, honestly. I am so excited, and I'm so excited to be able to be on the field of Lucas Oil Stadium. Like, I've never been on the field of a football stadium.
You can touch the grass.
Before.
We didn't realize how popular, and it's fun, how popular it would be for people just to go out and be able to touch the grass.
Sure.
Like, so,
yeah, that is really neat. Well, speaking of growth, yeah, absolutely. Well, no spoilers.
You can touch the grass.
All right, you can touch the grass. We'll let you know that. There'll be something around the grass. All right. Yeah, okay. We'll leave it at that. Speaking of growth, we've got 2 charity partners this year. I know this is a hard segue, but it's something I wanted to cover because our charity partners are awesome. And most years we've had just one, and we've raised a ton of money for them, which is great because our attendees freaking rock, and you guys always come up and show up and donate a lot of money to charity, and they always walk away just like being able to make a real big difference. So this year,
so could I just say, so since we started doing these charity programs, I think in 2006, over $250,000 has been raised. So yeah,
wow,
it's fantastic.
You guys rock. So 2 partners this year.
Yep.
Second Helpings.
Yep.
And I think it's the Jack Bassel. Is that right?
Jack Bassel Memorial Fund. Yeah. Yeah. So I think this is one of those things that just kind of grew up organically, where we started. We always think about who our charity partners are going to be, and we've always historically focused on charity partners in Indianapolis. But a lot of people, and that's great. I mean, the Indianapolis community is really, really important to us, and is important to our attendees. But I think a lot of people who come from other parts of the world, they don't feel quite the same connection.
Sure.
But what we're really there for is games. And when we came across the Jack Bassel Memorial Fund, which targets, if you don't know, specifically targets gamers in the gaming community, for anyone in the community who's in a period of crisis or financial difficulty, and you can apply for help. That just resonated so well with what we're trying to do.
Sure.
And so we said, well, we don't want to leave Indianapolis behind. So this is how we came up with this idea of just kind of splitting it down the middle, and we have 2 partners.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hopefully we can double the giving. So we count on everybody
double
to step
the giving,
up.
double the fun.
Yeah, and they're both great partners. I mean, the Second Helpings folks, I was looking at some numbers recently, and they serve 4,000 meals a day in the Indianapolis community, where they get they harvest food from that would otherwise go on to the landfill or go to waste, and convert that into meals and then distribute it through all these partners. It's really amazing thing.
And like that's such a great cause too, is being able to take this food that would otherwise go to a landfill and like put it to work, right?
Yep.
Like that's what it should be doing.
Yeah, really. And then they do job training, like in culinary skills, job training as part of that as well. And then not to, I guess I mentioned the Jack Vassell Fund too, but I would encourage everyone to go to the website, which I believe is jackvasselmemorialfund.org.
I think it's org.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or just search for it.
Yeah, you can search for it.
Favorite search engine.
The testimonials there for people who have applied to the fund and received help from the fund. Just it makes you it feels so good, right?
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
I hope that Gen Con will be doing some stuff. I don't know if we're talking about that yet. Some things to do. We're doing some things that will contribute to the charity partners, and I certainly encourage everybody else to get in on that as well.
Absolutely. So let's see here. What else we have this year? Block party.
Yep.
That's gonna be so cool, right? So we have, if you guys don't know, so our Wednesday night essentially kickoff party is features a concert, Sun King tapping party, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is something that's been growing over the years in terms of all the stuff that we're doing out on Georgia Street. And then we decided, well, let's give it a name. Let's make it this real thing. So we decided to call it the Block Party, and we've got 2 bands coming in, and we got Local H and the Oh Brother. Is it Oh Brother?
Brother Oh Brother.
Brother Oh Brother. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's another amazing thing to watch the way that. One of my favorite things that if you haven't done it, you should see the changing of the food trucks when that happens.
It sounds like a movie.
Yeah, well,
it's like food trucks.
It is like changing of the guard, right? Because they have this, they have this whole thing coordinated with the city of Indianapolis and the police and everything like that, and everybody knows where they're supposed to be, and all the new food trucks are lining up.
Yeah.
Because they run out of food basically, and everybody moves out. They shut everything down. Everybody moves out, and like within 20 minutes, whole new set of food trucks.
Whole new set of food trucks. I believe we have over 40 food trucks just like out there.
Yeah.
So whatever you want, you'll find it out on Georgia Street, and we'll have a few out on South Street as well this year.
Lines are always shorter in South Street, so.
Oh, that's a good tip. That's a hot tip there for you. Let's see. Well, if you guys have questions while I'm running through my list of questions, feel free to pop them in chat. We're more than happy to answer some of your questions. I know I saw one earlier that, let me scroll up here. Okay. So Marine Mike says, any plans for doing more things with e-games? I saw Blizzard is now a sponsor. Do you think they'll have a big presence in the future?
So hopefully Blizzard will be back. Hopefully they'll have a good experience. So I encourage everyone to go check it out. I think we probably will do more with e-games. I guess there's 2 ways to think about it. One is with directly with the publishers like Blizzard, and so sort of hands-on events and tournaments and things like that. I'd love to do more of that. And then I think what's really interesting is the streaming of either video games or tabletop games as well, and how that's evolving. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity there. We've been in a number of discussions over the last years with different partners, both on the video game side and the tabletop side, around things to do with Gen Con. And I guess is the short answer.
The short answer
I would like
is
to see that. I'm excited to have Blizzard there this year. And hopefully we can do more of that. What I like, Blizzard is particularly relevant. Like, I don't want to become a video game convention. We're not PAX. We're not GDC or anything like that.
But like Hearthstone,
exactly,
naturally fits in.
Exactly,
right,
so
and it makes sense.
When that happens, then absolutely we're open to that.
video game tournament stuff, yeah, we've got a little bit of a change schedule with our video game stuff, but rest assured, we're working out with deals with our partners and finding out what works best in that space. For this year, it's going to be a really awesome throwback arcade. So we've got everything from like arcade cabinets to you can go back and play everything from, I think we've got Atari. They're bringing, like, our partners bringing Atari, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, all up to the original Xbox, I believe. So we have a lot of really cool throwback gaming content as well.
Yeah, I mean, so we partnered over the years with eBash to bring video games to Gen Con. They're not going to be there this year. That was not really, it's just one of those things where it wasn't it had kind of run its course, and so we're not opposed to continuing to do video games and having that at the show. So we're in a number of discussions right now to potentially bring something like that back as well.
Okay,
so.
Great. All right, well, you guys let us know if you've got any other questions. We have Gen Con president here, happy to help answer your questions. Until then, I wanted to talk to you about what games you're looking forward to playing at the show, or at least checking out, because obviously we've got hundreds of games, thousands of games really, but we've got many new games debuting that you'll be able to buy for the first time at Gen Con, and we've got a ton more that are demoing, as well. So what are you looking forward to?
Well, so I'm looking forward to, but I probably won't even be able to get through the exhibit hall to see them. But I've done my work on Board Game Geek to try to kind of see what's new and hot. Of course, I've got my list here. Yeah. It goes on and on.
Honestly, I start making the same list. I'm like, I'm gonna pick out my top 3 picks, and then 17 picks later, I'm like, I'm gonna be broke.
Yeah, this list is like 10, 12 long. But so maybe a controversial pick that I have in there is The Mind, which has been out in Europe, and a lot of people will debate whether it's really a game or not.
Okay.
But I'm actually super excited to get a hold of that so that we can play it here in the office.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there's a lot of subtleties in that game. I think it'd be really fun to see how that plays. It would be kind of like when we played Diplomacy here, which was,
oh my gosh,
get to know your coworkers a little in a whole new light.
Not to be repeated. No, not to be repeated.
No,
I love Diplomacy.
And I love Diplomacy. I don't know. It was rough on all of us. Let's just put it that way.
I ended up okay. I didn't win.
I guess I didn't do very well. I was just stuck in the Ottoman Empire.
That's true.
I never was able to break out. Thanks to you, by the way.
Hey.
See, this is what happens.
This is what happens, is that we devolve into. So that was so much fun, though, honestly, because, I remember getting, Sunday night texts that were like, hey, so if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. Yeah. And our diplomacy round tomorrow can go like this. And so it was super interesting.
And remember the rule that was always true?
What's that?
England will betray you.
That's true. England will betray you. I put up some pics on our Facebook page a while back of the craziness that was playing Diplomacy in the office. I'm just going to leave you guys with, make sure you have strong relationships with your coworkers. It's a great game, but boy.
How long have you been with the company at that point when we dove right into that?
Like 3 months?
Yeah.
Not very long.
That's a tough one. Well, let's see if The Mind does some of the same thing for that as well. On a lighter note, I've our friends at Cryptozoic, I believe, are doing Pantone, which
that looks like it's so different.
Yeah.
And really cool.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of how I think about these things. What are the games that I want to play either with the folks here or folks at home? I was also intrigued by a game called Indictment, which I think is very politically relevant.
Oh, you know what? I saw that, but I didn't dive into it. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Or
basically, you're playing a politician and you're rocked with all these scandals, and it's kind of a survival game to see who can sort of dodge the most scandals. And be the last one standing.
Do you typically like war games?
No, I tend to like abstract strategy.
Me too.
I like party games. We still have to go head-to-head.
Oh man, I will take you down in TAC, sir.
I'm undefeated in the office,
Mr. Hoppy. I will take you down.
All right, we'll get this done after the show. I do like sort of political intrigue, bluffing games, things like that. I was thinking was trying to think about like why what drives my interest in certain types of games, and I was remembering a game that I used to play with my mom when I was a kid called Masterpiece. Have you ever played Masterpiece? Fantastic game. If any of you old school board gamers remember this game, you can probably find it in like thrift shops and Value Village and stuff like that. There's an old Parker Brothers game, and it had picture cards that were actually licensed from the Art Institute of Chicago, and like Picasso's and Renoirs and Monet's and all these amazing artists, which I don't know how they did the rights. And you'd never be able to create that game today.
Sure.
And so they would get matched up with randomly matched up with price values, and it was a game of it's a board game, but you were trying to buy and sell properties or art pieces, and some were worth $1 million and some were forgeries, and so you were always trying to like convince somebody that
this was the real thing.
This is worth $500,000, but in fact it's just a forgery. And then the best thing to do, yes, Game of Thrones board game. That would be a fun one. That's definitely on my list. I just saw Marine Mike telling me that. If you live in the Chicago area and you get here's the ultimate Masterpiece experience. If you live in Chicago, you get a hold of that board game. You take the stack of cards. My mom used to do this for me, and go down to the Art Institute, and then you run around the museum. And I was like 10 years old, and find all these masterpieces.
Oh man, I bet as a kid, like that's a pretty cool experience.
It was really cool.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, look at that. Thanks, Sarah Jordan. So Jordan put up the Masterpiece link from BGG.
Yep.
Official Paizo says there used to be a Masterpiece commercial from the early 70s. Oh man, I haven't heard this
Such
game.
Such a good game. I have it. I'll bring it in. We have to play it. Yeah, it's really good. The cards are a little bit faded right now. They're not nearly as good as the originals.
We'll put gloves on.
And honestly, I did play this probably about a year or so ago with my family. It might be broken, like it's not.
Okay.
But because I think we only played one game, and I was like, this could be broken.
Doesn't seem right.
But it's definitely a fun thing to go do. What else?
What else?
The one thing I wanted to say about Indictment is a little segue into my pitch for Nerds Vote. I don't know if anybody knows about. We're partnering with an organization called Nerds Vote, which is a Get Out the Vote campaign organization run by some folks out of some talent out of Los Angeles, some Hollywood talent. That sounds familiar, like Critical Role, but they're very politically active, and this is a nonpartisan effort. They're partnering with I can't remember the name of there's an outfit that does Get Out the Vote at music events.
Okay.
And so they do Get Out the Vote at conventions and geek conventions and cons and stuff like that. And so they'll be at Gen Con, so I hope everybody can get there and register to vote. League of Women Voters will be there as well. So I think in this day and age, everybody should be voting.
It absolutely, no matter what side you're on, just go vote. Absolutely.
Yep. Okay, politics off. Expand City.
Head count.
That's them. Yeah.
Thank you.
And so they basically just work with them and get volunteers through Headcount, and so we'll have a bunch of folks at Gen Con. So look for them in Community Row.
Great.
So Expand City.
Oh my gosh, that is on my list. My gosh, it's like I am so excited for this game. So like you, I love strategy games, and especially if it's like abstract strategy. Like TAC, for example. Yeah. I think Expand City is right up my alley, and Breaking Games, who is new this year. They are doing a Gen Con special, so you can get, if you're going to Gen Con, you can get Expand City for $45. And it's normally $60, so it's like kind of a huge savings.
Yeah.
But Expand City looks really cool.
Looks really good.
Yeah.
I also like the look or the idea of a game called Grackles.
I haven't heard that one.
So Grackles, is a bird, loud kind of bird that I guess is really common in the Southeast, although I remember them when I was a kid growing up in the Chicago area.
A grackle. That's what it's called. Okay.
And so Grackles is the name of the game, and it's about the basic idea is you're trying to get lines of these birds on a telephone wire, and you get choices. You're placing tiles, and then you're laying down your birds, and you get choices of placing birds or rotating the tiles to change the configuration of the wires and stuff like that. But with a name like Grackles, I mean,
Grackles.
I just like to be.
Let's go play Grackles.
Yeah. Well, who wants?
I love it. It sounds like a strategy game for sure.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I think looks like it's like pretty pocket sized too, which I always love those games.
I actually just played. Have you played? Oh gosh, what is it called? It's Hive. The Hive. The Hive. Hive. It's either Hive or The Hive. And it's literally like a pocket game.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even have a board.
Mm-hmm.
There's no board. It's just, and they're hex cubes. I'm sure Jordan can get the link up here in a second. But it is so fun. So you've got like basically different bugs,
mm-hmm.
and your different bugs can only do a certain kind of move. So like grasshoppers can only jump. Yeah. And then like spiders can only move a few spaces or something, and so basically what you're trying to do is each player has a queen bee
mm-hmm.
that you're trying to surround with all your bugs,
nice.
But they can only move a certain way to get to surround the queen bee. Hive, thank you. So great.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, yeah, I love that.
It's like it's different game, but one of my current favorite games right now is Love Letters.
Yeah.
If you play that, right? I mean, my family, we play that all the time.
Yeah.
And we have, I've gone through 2 sets. We have them in sleeves now because they just get so worn out.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a game you can whip it out and,
Yeah.
The first time I played that was in the Indianapolis airport with Peter Atkinson. I think it was on the way back from Gen Con last year.
Oh, no
and
way.
we were sitting at the table. He's like, who wants to play Love Letters? And so we sat down.
Love it.
And it was great. I was hooked.
Love it. What else? Any other games on your must-have list?
I was just thinking at the opposite end of the list is this game called Detective. Have you heard about this? This is a game, I don't have the publisher written down, but it's this modern crime board game. I was watching Tom Vassell and on Dice Tower reviewing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big game. I'm sure some people know about it. It's basically sort of a multimedia. It's almost not really even a board game either, where you're solving a mystery and you've got clues that are revealed. You go on the internet to get clues. You go on mobile to get clues.
Oh, interesting.
It takes a long time.
This is very immersive.
Very immersive. It's like a 2 to 3 hour game.
Yeah.
So not something you
not something quick. Yeah.
No, not something quick.
But that's awesome though.
Yeah. So
cool.
I think I'm going to try that at some point. It's probably one of those games I'm going to buy, and it's going to sit around for about a year saying, we got to find 3 hours to go play this. But
well, just bring him to the office, then in December we'll take it out.
Yeah.
So one of the games that I have been talking about recently on my personal Twitter feed is Welcome To from Deepwater Games, and it's also another kind of like weird game, and I've watched a couple reviews of it, and you can literally have 100 people playing at once.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
do tell.
It's so interesting. And so you and Jordan can get it linked up here in a second, but basically, so it's kind of a city like civ building game essentially, and you flip over your cards essentially, and everyone takes their turn at once, and so they say, okay, well I'm gonna do this for my city and then that for my city based on like what's available, and so everyone kind of has different scoring at the end depending on different conditions, and it's just really cool. So you can get basically any number of people together to sit down and play Welcome To, and it's your city. Welcome to Christinopolis, and so it's just really interesting idea, I think.
Bring it in.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, I'm planning on picking it up at Gen Con.
All right, good.
What else? You got any
what else do I like?
Other games you're looking forward to?
Rise of Tribes I've seen. That looks
also
pretty
from
exciting.
Breaking Games,
Breaking Games, yeah. And then I realized there's a game coming up called Planetoid, and then also another one called Black Hole Council. And then I was like, well, this just feels like The Expanse, and I've just been reading The Expanse recently. And by the way, Jim's S.A. Corey, plural, will be at Gen Con this year, though I was an Expanse fan before I even knew that. So I'm actually super excited to hopefully meet those guys.
Yeah,
and these games kind of feel like, that sort of near future style of, mining politics.
Sure.
Is it Black Hole? Yeah, Black Hole Council is more of like the politics, and then Planetoid's like the mining resource game for based on getting stuff from space, which is actually, I was listening to a podcast recently about like real life space that is actually happening. Like there are companies out there that are figuring out how to mine rocket fuel from meteors.
Right.
Which
is like kind of mind blowing for sure. That's an interesting question from Southern Garrison. What is something that people might be surprised to find out about what goes into preparing for or running Gen Con?
running Gen Con, one of the things that's surprising, I think people find surprising, is that for me in particular, but I think for some people, like when I get to Gen Con, like it all just happens. Like I don't have to, like it's all work, but I don't have to work, right? I can kind of go, like I don't have to
Well, you spent the last 361 days of the year working on this.
Right. So I just get to walk around and talk to people.
Well, that's great.
Which is actually
super
quite
fun.
a lot of fun. And I have to do a few things, but they're all things that are fun to do, like, roll giant dice and stuff like that.
We have, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot, that's that might be a question for me, because like because I'm so new, and like what has been surprising to me. Our operations manager, Syra, literally places every single chair that is at Gen Con on a CAD graph.
Yeah.
Every chair. And that's what, like, she's amazing. And her, like, I wish I had her organizational skills. But, every chair is already planned out well in advance to the convention.
Yeah, and I think that story I told about, like, our finance event team members, formerly volunteers, who, I was shocked by that, people who, who've been coming for 8-9 years doing this exact same thing for the community, right? That was super surprising to me. I think one thing that people find surprising, although it's very explainable, is that, the show is here's one. The show is in Indianapolis. We're here in Seattle.
Yeah.
People are like, well, you must be going...
Wait, what?
Yeah. Hey, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So just so everyone knows, right? It was because, TSR was bought by Wizards of the Coast, which was here in Seattle. Wizards of the Coast bought by Hasbro. Peter Adkison, who sold Wizards of the Coast, loved Gen Con, and so he went to Hasbro, or I don't know who went to who, and said, let me buy Gen Con back from you. Yeah. And so then that's how it came to be here in Seattle. But
in its own company.
And its own standalone company, that's right. Mm-hmm. What I think a lot of people find surprising, people always ask me, oh, you must go back to Indianapolis all the time. And I'm like, no, not really. Mm-hmm. I go...
A few times a year.
Yeah, once or twice additionally in the year. And then also, people expect that, like, we're there now. And they say, so when do you show up and start getting ready? And we're like, well, we pretty much land on Sunday, and, boom, it just happens. And then we leave on Monday. And they're like a week? And I'm like, 9 days. Yeah. That's it.
Well, I mean, that's interesting you say that, because Impulse says, is Gen Con one of those events that's more front-loading, like most of the work is done before the show, rather than, like, the week of the show.
Right.
And it's really dependent on who is working on what, right? So a lot of our stuff is obviously planned way in advance, like January. We really get started on our next convention. But it really depends. Like marketing, for example, a lot of my work is going to be done at the show, because like I want to showcase you guys like how much fun you're having and how much games are being played and the cool events that are happening. But it's really, I think it's job dependent for sure.
We have these people are surprised by the different flows. Like people will say to me, well, what do you do in September, or what's fall like for you? You must be really slow. And for me, that's actually like the busiest time, because we go out and we visit with our exhibitors, start making plans for the following year. We do all of our annual planning in terms of the budgets and stuff like that. So that's all that stuff happens in this very compressed time period from September to Christmas, basically. Because then as everyone knows, January we start selling badges, and we're kind of off and running.
We're on the road again. Absolutely.
Yeah. So and then it's different for everybody, right? So like you may be busier now, of course, but like our exhibits, and that the exhibit hall is pretty well set now. It's just a lot of customer service and things like that.
Right. Absolutely. So I've got a few more questions for you. While we're doing that, if Jordan wouldn't mind setting up our Gen Con 2019 badge giveaway, I would really appreciate that. So we're giving away 2 4-day badges to Gen Con 2019 on the stream, which is really cool. Yeah. So basically what will happen is everyone will enter, Jordan will tell you how, and then we'll get that started, and then we'll pick 2 winners, and Jordan will, from the Gen Con mod account, will send you a whisper for your email address, and then I will email you, and then you'll get your code, and everything will be happy and great.
Can I enter?
I feel like you're going already.
Oh, all right, I'll go. Really?
I suppose.
Is that an invite?
Yes, you're officially invited to Gen Con 2019.
So mark it on my calendar.
Mark it. Great. So while we're All right, that's a way we can do it. Fine.
I was just seeing Impulse 411 saying Seattle seeming like...
what if people pick the same number, though?
First one.
The first one. Okay, well...
You're just gonna do it? You're gonna roll with it?
We're gonna roll with it. Okay, right. So I'll actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna have you do the honors.
Okay.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, well, I was gonna say about Seattle being game central. I think is definitely true. I think part of it is sort of like, the Seattle area has all these tech companies that spun out because of the existence of Microsoft and now Amazon. And because of Wizards being here now, there's so many gaming companies, and
we have so many.
There's so many, and everybody has a connection to, either to Wizards or to Microsoft in some way, particularly with the strength of Xbox. And we're trying to do a little bit more here in the community as well. I know the Paizo folks have been with us for some of our small local events, but I think I was thinking, and I would love suggestions that people have of other parts of the country where we might go and start doing some we're doing these industry nights here in the Seattle area, and we'd like to do more of that and maybe in other parts of the country.
Absolutely. Let's expand Gen Con, right? Yeah. Let's expand our influence. All right, so I think we've got all of our entries. Go ahead, roll twice.
Roll twice?
Yep.
All right.
So first
roll is
18. Did anyone guess 18? No, who's closest to 18? Kerbeth.
Yep.
All right, Kerbeth, you are the first winner. And then second winner is
15.
Who's closest to 15, or anyone guess 15? Toligar looks like got 14 there.
There you go.
All right, so Toligar, you are the second winner. Kerbeth, the first winner. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. We'll see you next year. Come say hi.
Yeah, come say hi. We'll see you at Gen Con 2019.
Yeah.
So like I said, Jordan will get you set up with your or he'll grab your email addresses from you, and I'll email you the codes later. So we talked about the games you're excited for. What events are you excited for at Gen Con?
So, we talked a little bit about Magic and it being their 25th anniversary. They are doing this Rochester beta draft, which right. So I watched they did one of those at Grand Prix Las Vegas a couple weeks ago. And I watched the layout of the packs.
Yeah, I was watching it too.
You just skip ahead like in the stream to when they're opening the packs. I didn't care about the drafting.
I'm sitting there just like,
yeah.
What are they gonna do?
And what was fun about that is I was playing a ton of Magic back in 4th edition days and 4th and 5th, and so a lot of those cards were all in beta as well. So it was really fun to see what was the blue wizard that you would tap for 1 direct damage.
What's his name? Help us, chat.
Someone help us. Anyway, I'll think. I can see the image perfectly. It's that sort of goofy-looking wizard. So that Prodigal Sorcerer. Thank you very much. That'll be a lot of fun. What we're doing with the block party will be great. One of the things that we're doing this year that's different is we've had this industry insiders program for a number of years, and we have a committee that helps us run that and sort of make the strategic decisions. And so we decided to change that up and try to elevate that a little bit. Gaming culture is really important right now, we believe. And I think there's a lot of good things that happen, around tabletop games and Gen Con. And so we, as part of being able to stream it and show it and share it, we want to do more of that. So we created this thing called Gen Con Insights, which is really like TED Talks in a way, where we're bringing in folks from the industry to do a more sort of a more prepared, sort of higher production value talk.
Like a TED Talk.
Yeah,
really.
That is exactly what we're modeling it after. And so these will be TED Talks that are specific to the gaming industry. We're running them this year, and then we're recording them for rebroadcast. So we'll be broadcasting them on our Twitch channels, not live, but we sort of right after once they're edited a little bit, and then of course on our YouTube channel. So hopefully that'll be really cool, and we'll definitely continue to do those if they're successful, and even do more of them in the course of the week. We're doing 3 this year, that's
exciting for sure. I can't wait to roll into the BGG Hot Games room, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
we've got, I mean, it's a free event, right? And so it's not like an event, but I am so excited to just be like, games, all the new games, all the hot games. You know, it's gonna be, I'll have my little taped on webcam, and it'll be great.
Go to the games library too, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think that's, last year was the first year that we put that out on Lucas Oil, and I think that works really well. What's surprising at Lucas Oil Stadium, if you haven't been out there, is even though you can put a ton of people out there, when you put them on the field in that giant space, and we're going to have some of the they have some curtaining that we'll be putting up this year, it's really quiet. Like the atmospherics are kind of magical, right? Because you hear this sort of murmur like you're in a giant plaza, but it's not loud, right? It's it's a great place to go.
That's super interesting.
So it's nice and quiet, but you don't feel like you're alone either. You're like part of a thing.
Oh, that's super interesting. It'd be fun to make it into like this little street plaza. Let's dress it up.
Yeah,
That'd
well,
be cool.
and what's cool when I think about long term, you can kind of when you come out of Lucas Oil, you can go up the stairs and out onto this. There's this thing called the North Pavilion that's kind of cool. It's got sort of an indie theme, and then you can go right outside to South Street there. So I think that there's a lot that we can do there to sort of bridge the from the outside to inside and
make it super cool.
Yeah, so we're gonna start visualizing some of that stuff, and hopefully we can make it happen soon.
Absolutely. Kerbeth mentioned the FEF room.
Yep.
So cool. Like that's another one of those things when I learned about, obviously, through the year, I'm like, okay, I'm making marketing materials, and I'm like, wait, we have a room that does what?
Yeah. As if there weren't enough games already, right? Now here's a whole nother.
But you can play test these games in development, and the game that you play test and say, hey, I really think that it would be a lot better if you did this and this. They might just take that advice and then next year that game launches at Gen Con with your advice. Like that's pretty rad.
You are shaping the industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other events you're looking forward to?
What else? Well, we also have guests of honor this year that are going to be, we're again sort of raising the production values on those a bit, and we'll be streaming those. So those will be exciting as well. I'm also, Fantasy Flight is obviously a big supporter of ours, and I have this long-standing desire to start playing X-Wing, and I hear that...
well, 2.0 is...
Exactly, and it's supposed to be a lot more approachable from what I understand. So it's like, okay, now I no longer have an excuse. So definitely going to try to hit their in-flight report on Wednesday.
Absolutely.
And see what they're up to, because they always do cool stuff.
Really cool stuff. All right, well, is that it? Yeah. That's all the questions I have.
I just want to walk around. I just want to be there.
I know, right? I think all of us are so ready to be at the show at this point, and I'm sure you guys are too.
This is only making it worse. You're just talking about it for an hour.
Tell me about it.
Speed up the clock.
Yeah, this has been my. Again, I love doing these streams, but every time I'm like, wait, you mean we can do this and that, and I get so excited about it.
But now we have to wait 19 days.
We have to wait 19 days. All right, if you guys don't have any more questions, we gave away our badges. We talked to David about his history, what he's looking forward to, and we'll see you guys at Gen Con. So the next stream, we'll have one more stream before the show. That'll be 2 weeks from today, same time, same bat channel, and we'll see you there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
If you're going to be in Indianapolis and you've watched this stream, please, and you see me, please come by and say hi. I would love to meet people who've been watching the stream. That'd be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And same goes for me as well.
Yep.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you, David, for taking the time to chat with me and chat with the fine folks on the stream here.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you guys in Indy, and I'll see you online and in a couple weeks. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.